Alors, comme je vous disais, cette matinée est très dense, donc on enchaîne évidemment les interventions et les tables rondes et aussi les regards croisés, parce que c'est intéressant, on va pouvoir rebondir sur ce qu'on vient de dire à travers une interview croisée, un regard entre la France et l'Espagne. Donc j'invite messieurs Firoz Ladak et Joaquin Serra à me rejoindre sur scène. Donc comme on le voit, on peut dire en Suisse, en France, en Espagne, le mécénat se veut force de disruption et de collaboration. Les fondations familiales, comme les fondations d'entreprise, cherchent à nouer des alliances, tant à l'échelle locale que de manière transnationale. L'objectif est vraiment de faire face aux grandes problématiques de société qui touchent l'Europe. Une approche de convergence est développée pour fédérer autour d'un même engagement les différentes parties prenantes. Et c'est le pari que font les fondations Edmond de Rothschild et Natura Bissé. Donc je suis ravie de vous accueillir tous les deux. Thank you very much to be here with us. you are fine. Okay. Firoz Ladak, CEO of la Fondation Edmond de Rothschild, et Joaquin Serra, Senior Executive Vice President and CBDO of Natura Bissé Group. So you will talk all together. It's a cross interview, as I say. Maybe. I know that you are not here to make publicity advertisement, but maybe a short word about your foundation. Yes, it's good to take a picture. Okay, yes, okay. Who start to present? Who start? You start? Okay. Yes, with the microphone.
Good idea. Can you hear me? Yeah. Good morning. If you don't mind, I'd just like to make just one or two introductory remarks. First of all, I really think that we need to pay tribute to...
I think it doesn't work, yes. Maybe this one? No, it's good? Okay.
It works? Yeah. So I just wanted to pay tribute to Amical for having put together this extraordinary event. When I see how every year the audience increases and becomes diversified, I really think that they need to be congratulated. I also would like to highlight that Collège de France itself is also quite daring by a program called Pause, which precisely tackles the whole issue of scientists, academics, and the refugee question. And this is also, I think, a risk-taking, which we were going to talk about. So I wanted to highlight those 2 points. So many of you, I think, know what we're about. So it's a group of 10 foundations, which are entirely private, managed by a very capable team of about 10 people between Geneva and Paris. We are present in France, in Spain, in Israel, in New York, and of course in Switzerland, where I live. We focus on 4 key areas, namely the arts, entrepreneurship, health, and what we called best practice in philanthropy, which I'd be happy to come back to. And our yearly donation range between $20 and $25 million.
Good morning. My name is Joaquin. I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes to try to explain why I'm here. Natura Bissé, it's a skincare family company on and run from Spain. And about 10 years ago, we decided that we should start creating a new foundation. So we spent between 6 and 7 months discussing with the family which products or which project we should start doing. We should financing projects from the outside. Spain, do something in Spain. So we came up with 2 projects. The first project is called Oncosthetics. We're going to hospitals, public hospitals in Spain, treating women that has breast cancer. As you know, breast cancer is a very sensitive thing for women. 95% of our customers are women, so we decided to focus on women that have some issues when they have cancer. So we started going to public hospitals in a very modest way, behind the scenes, because if you ask for permission, they say no, it's illegal to go to public hospitals and to do services. So the doctors, they said to us that it was impossible to do this service in a public hospital. So we started speaking with the nurse. The nurse is the people who is in contact constantly with these persons, and we start doing face massage for the body and to this person. And now we have been treating more than 4,000 women in hospitals in Spain. We have been doing for the last 5 years programs teaching estheticians to be able to touch women with cancer. This is a brand new arena of services in the area of cancer. Unfortunately, cancer of women it's increasingly growing every year because our lifestyle, our diet, and stress, a lot of things, environmental things. The bad news is also 52% of women that's cancer, they divorce from the husband. So we are also trying to cooperate not only with the body, but also with the brain, helping them to solve the issues. Because when a woman has cancer, it affects the whole family. It's not only the women, it's the kids, it's the family, it's the parents, so it's a whole thing. This is the first thing that we are doing with the foundation. The second project that we are doing, it's called Project Difference. When we moved to the States to run the company in the US, we lived there for almost 8 years. And we have 3 girls. The middle one, she was 6 years old, and they want to make a test to go to the school. And they saw there was something in learning or whatever it is. She had some issues, maybe with Spanish or the English. So they recommend us to take our daughter to a place, to a school, and they do diagnosis for kids. So we send the girl to the school. She was there for 3 weeks making tests, doing day and afternoons. And when we arrived to the school to learn about what was the diagnosis for my girl, I was sitting in a chair like this, and I was start crying. I said, "Joaquin, what happened to you?" I said, "Well, I had diagnosis and dyslexia and TDAH, but when I was a kid, these words of dyslexia and TDAH didn't even exist." So we decided to establish a new project. It's called Difference, because every kid learns in a different way. We started also in public schools, but the big challenge it was this remediation in the US. The schools are very expensive, are private. The cost of schools between $8,000 and $14,000 for the scholarship. It's very expensive. So the challenge was how we can democratize all this knowledge and arrive as many people as we could. So to make the story short, we came up with a new project that for the price of 60 euros, we do the remediation for the kid, we train the teachers, and we also accompany all the program for 1 year. So seeing that now the last Congress of International Dyslexia Association that's in the US, 20% of the kids has some issue from dyslexia, TDA, autism, or high capacity. Is a big problem with that. So now the US is asking us how we can replicate this model around in the US and other countries. Next week, we're going to London. There's an association called Made by Dyslexia. That the president is Richard Branson. Richard Branson is a severe dyslexia person, as you may know. Because we want to set up new screening through new technologies with voice recognition, facial recognition, and listening. We can create a universal screening for everyone here in Europe, in America, in Africa, in Asia. That we want to screen everyone. That's a big challenge. This is going to be probably $4 million budget for the next 5 years, but I think that we are going to be able to make it happen. So our plan also is that we have other crazy ideas. We have the company, we have the foundation, and now we are trying to invest to do some impact projects that we can also lead. But what we find the most difficult thing, to be very honest, and I know this maybe a good place, talking about European and philanthropy things, the most complexity thing that we try to cooperate with other corporations is the ego. I don't know if it is politically correct to talk about the ego, but again, philanthropies, we should leave our ego outside and try to cooperate because we have the whole ingredients to make this happen. We should start approaching the project in a different way.
Yes, it's a good example of convergence, as I say. In France, this week is the week of this, and talk about all the troubles you talk about. So we come back to the cross interview because it's important for us to hear what you do, but we talk about all together about specifically Family Foundation. First question for both of you: how risk-taking or risk-averse can philanthropy be for you? You want to start, Firoz Ladak? Yes.
I think the level of risk that one is willing to take very much depends on how we define philanthropy. I think it's important at some point to sort of come back to this issue of definition, because these days we put in the whole field of giving, philanthropy, impact investment, ESG. It becomes this sort of blur of words, which I think all are moving in the right direction. Certainly supporting the whole idea of convergence, but I think that the word philanthropy itself has to be focused first and foremost on giving, and giving without any form of self-interest. Of course, it then leads to the next question, which I think tapped brilliantly in the previous panel on the definition of public good and the contrat social, and how it differs in the UK, for instance, as compared to France. So we at Rothschild very much defined philanthropy as a lab of ideas. We do not expect to totally change society. We feel that we have the independence, we have the freedom to actually explore ideas, which then hopefully can then be scaled up with other partners, other foundations, or even in the case of France, the state. And I would add to that because we have that deeply ingrained sense of freedom, which some of you know that I'm sometimes a bit straightforward in the way I express myself, doesn't prevent us from actually tapping issues which are polemical. I'll give you an example, which of course many of you know it is very dear to our heart, is the whole issue of diversity in France. Why is it that if you look at the area of culture, for instance, the public is white, the scene is white, France is just not representing today, at least in the cultural sphere, the richness of its culture. And so, of course, coming with such a stand, we had to ask ourselves, how are we going to express that? And as you know, in France, it is actually illegal to do positive discrimination. So find another way to actually tackle this issue through link for discrimination. And so it happens that once we launched a program in this area, we became the focus of a lot of attention because suddenly we were taking a stand. And I think this is what philanthropy is about. Especially private philanthropy. I'm sure we're going to come back to all distinction between private and corporate philanthropy. But as I say in French, philanthropy gives you the power to nommer choses. So I would say that we're not risk adverse on that one. I would add a last point, which is that risk from the issue we tackle, but also risk in terms of also the investment mechanism we put in place. A lot of you are familiar with the whole area of mission alignment between the way you give and the way you invest. Investing into socially responsible vehicles is taking a level of risk, which we are taking. As I think in the previous board we mentioned, the Melinda Bill Gates Foundation. But it's interesting to say that we don't want to be in a situation where on one hand we support great causes, and on the other we are stuck in a scandal with Monsanto, for instance. So it is interesting, for instance, Gates should be seen as a great model of American philanthropy, and it should be. It's not necessarily taking the risk when it comes to investment.
There's a question for you, how risk-taking philanthropy can be for you?
Well, we see the relation, risk, it's a big part of the equation in our philanthropy, because the budget comes from our pocket, and we are always looking for the long term. So our foundation, it's here to stay, and we want to, this is the tool that we want to transmit to our next generation of the family. So risk, obviously, a control risk, we're not crazy. We like to do risk. If I had not taken any risk doing the cancer thing or the dyslexia, the project was not even alive anymore. Because when we have these ideas of risk, normally, we are going to do it. It's impossible. The government of Spain didn't allow us at the very beginning to do this because we were unofficially, we weren't in institutional education. Well, now the government is asking us to go into other provinces of Spain to explain our case, to replicate the model in different places. So as soon as you have clear where risk and where you're going, I think at the end of the day, it's worth it because in 2 weeks I'm going to talk with the Mac Hospital and Harvard University, because I'm setting a hypothesis if microbiome helps to learn disabilities. Okay, nobody's in Spain about these ideas of my microbiome and learning disabilities, but they like these challenges. Maybe I am wrong, but maybe not. So, but if it's not a solution, we find another angle. So when you take a risk, it's a path of learning to go to the next level. So I encourage all the philanthropists to take risks. We're discussing some risk project with Firoz, but it's to be in shape to take risks. It keeps you up and running to take risks.
Firoz Ladak talk about corporate and private philanthropy. Do you see any distinction between two?
Well,
also, and you can say something
private foundations, to be very transparent, we do what we want, okay? Because it's, again, from our money, it's a risk. We decide how much money we give. For example, we just launched a line of amenities in the hotels. But all the money that we produce from the amenities, instead of going to the company, is going to the foundation. So in a corporate world, sometimes you cannot do these things because it's so many egos in the department that you want to talk. So when we're talking here about Volkswagen Foundation, well, the Volkswagen Foundation, and now we are talking because this in Spain, 1,500 people that's it on jail, because for people that have severe dyslexia issues, to take the test of writing is very difficult, and it is like 75 questions that it's even impossible to read if you're not dyslexic. So it took me 8 times to go to the test driving. So now I'm talking with Seat, and this is the Spanish brand for Volkswagen in Spain. We're going to try to attest for people that has not been able to take the exam of driving at the age between 18 and 21%, because it's not justice, you know. It's like you have to wear glasses and you have no opticians to learn your view. So it's another risk operation. So private corporations, as in your corporations towards companies, there is a big difference, you know. So align a company or is in the core business, in the core values. Otherwise, it's very difficult to make these disruptive projects as we're trying to promote.
So, like in the case of France, it's interesting. Again, question of definition. Yes, private philanthropy is different from corporate philanthropy. So, on one hand, you have the likes of Sanofi, Total, large groups, and the other in the, let's say, private sphere. Some important names like Betancourt, Carazo. I've been exposed to both. So yes, you can put them in contrast. I have been quite impressed by the tools and the ability of scaling up that corporate philanthropy brings about, just because it's sheer size, the fact that the stakeholders are more multiple. First and foremost, because you've got subsidiaries, secondly, because you've got employees. Yes, true that corporate philanthropy has in the end, still a form of commercial mandate, which private philanthropy doesn't. In my case, I say I don't sell anything. The only thing responsible for is, of course, the quality of our products and the image of the family I present, which goes without saying. But I would say that so that's really part of the model, how maybe private philanthropy has this ability and independence to create, how it can then share creativity with a larger universe which has maybe other sticks, and ultimately you then tap up to how together we can perhaps also provide, I wouldn't have a counterweight to say, because that's more the Anglo-Saxon model. I think Professor Breen could perhaps confirm that how historically I think the charity world in the Anglo-Saxon world has always been seen more as a counterweight to state, which is not necessarily the continental tradition. But certainly I would say that it's sort of our role somewhat to redefine the social contract.
The good news now is, for example, there are 2 big organizations in Spain. The big foundation is one is Telefónica, the other one is La Caixa. They're huge. Mega. The Caixa has a budget of more than 400 million this year. Now, as small foundations, we can start talking with corporate foundations to do some disruptive innovation, radical projects. So they're really now starting to list. Before it was impossible. All the philanthropy world in Spain is very young, as we have some figures here. So, but now they are starting to see, as they focus also on the startups for the business models, they see as little startups in the philanthropy world that maybe we can do something together. And this is a new conversation that we had not had in the past. And this is giving us interesting perspectives. Because if you want to do an impact in society, maybe you should start talking about different levels of foundation, and that's a big opportunity for all of us. So.
I've got the last question for you because I'm the timekeeper, so it's difficult because you have a lot of things to say. So in a few words, talk about a model, European philanthropy. Do you think the concept of European philanthropy is possible? In a few words,
of course, and nothing is possible. Listen, these days, we are not limited by technology. We're limited by our imagination. The first DNA that we code in 1973 cost $1 million. And now for $50, you can have your DNA. So why in Europe, okay, we have to think with Asia, that's as a country, and we have the US, and we're in the middle. It's time now to sit down together, okay, and try to find different projects. One that we're talking with Firoz is the refugee. So this whole thing about the refugee camp. So we're trying to call a project, it's Trojan horse for refugee camp. It's another crazy idea, but we should start thinking, having these conversations, because it's not for today, for the next 10 or 20 years. It's as family companies. We should start thinking about what's next in the next 10, 15, or 20 years. If you don't know where you're going to go arrive in 20 years, you're not arriving anywhere. So we should start, I am very positive, and I think this is an amazing forum. And I think we should start small and think big. We can start having conversations in there. I'm eager to help from our modest position in Spain.
So no, I don't think there is a concept of European philanthropy. I think the Professor Cocreating did remind us that, in fact, the traditions are very distinct in Europe, and we should all be part of this respect histories come from, which again should not prevent us from having that European mindset. So it's not the same thing. And I would say that, I mean, as a European coming from diversity myself, I'm rather ashamed at how passive Europe has been with regard to the refugee crisis. So very practically, no, I don't think there's a concept of a European philanthropy. Yes, I'm not a specialist. I'm sure that you have very highly qualified experts can push for tax harmonization or cross-border. But I think that this is all very nice, and we have a lot of reports on this issue. It's certainly not a call for action. And so the question I have, for instance, that was also a question that I could ask Professor Breen, is all these reports that have been published, which again are highly quality, how can they be acted upon? And I haven't seen much of it. We have some organizations in Brussels, which I won't mention, that are meant to be representing that form of, again, European mindset. I hadn't really seen a lot of very practical steps. And again, I agree with Joaquin. If all of us could, a select group of foundations could actually focus on a specific issue. Just, Europe is facing the whole issue of migration and refugee. How risk-taking do we want to be in this? And how do we actually define one specific issue, which I think our brilliant professor from France was mentioning, I know where she had money, but maybe that's the way to push the European agenda, specifically linked to a problem, a challenge, and of course the tasks and everything can follow after. Last point I'd like to make, I may remind everybody here that we constantly talk about...
Sorry, because I must stop you, because you want a break for a shower, so you understand. I said that it's a very short time. Yes. Thank you very much for both of you. And you can speak at the break. Okay, thank you. Désolée, je suis un petit peu obligée de passer le temps parce que cette matinée est très riche. Donc, comme je dis, on va faire une courte pause technique, on va dire de 10-15 minutes. Surtout, ne vous éloignez pas trop. Nous rappelons aussi que nous avons mis en place une application événementielle pour faciliter votre journée. Vous pouvez la télécharger sur votre smartphone, votre tablette. Vous trouvez toutes les informations dans la page 8 du programme. Et aussi, nous avons installé un espace dédié au networking. Vous pouvez laisser dans cet espace un commentaire sur les prochains sujets que vous souhaitez qu'Admiral aborde. Donc, ça, c'est à page 9. Donc, une pause. On revient ici dans 10-15 minutes. Merci à vous tous. On va dire 10 minutes. Donc, pause rapide. Merci beaucoup.